In Hebrews 11, the Hall of Faith, Samson's name appears alongside Abraham, Moses, and David. But the book of Judges tells a messier story. This is the man who visited prostitutes, the man who repeatedly ignored his calling, the man whose life seemed to spiral from one act of revenge to another. Yet, God kept using him. How? To answer that, the story begins before Samson is even born. The angel of the Lord appears to the wife of a man called Manoah. The Bible never tells us her name. She has never had a child. The angel tells her she will bear a son. But before he speaks about the child, he speaks to her about what she must do. No wine, no fermented drink, nothing unclean. Then he gives the reason. You will become pregnant and have a son, whose head must never be touched by a razor, because the boy is to be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines. Samson was a giant, wasn't he? A man whose extraordinary strength was explained by an extraordinary body. But open the book of Judges and search. The Bible never mentions his size. It never describes his appearance. It never explains his strength through physique. Instead, it kept saying, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. His strength wasn't obvious, and that was why it was a mystery. Samson went down to Timnah. There he saw a Philistine woman and said to his parents, "Get her for me. She's right in my eyes." His parents objected, but the Bible adds something they could never have known. God was using even Samson's stubborn desire. He was seeking a reason to confront the Philistines. As they traveled to Timnah, a young lion came roaring towards Samson. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. He tore the lion apart with his bare hands. Later, when they returned to marry the woman, he turned aside to look at the lion's carcass. Inside it was a swarm of bees and some honey. He ate some and he gave some to his parents, but he did not tell them where it came from. At the customary wedding feast, Samson put before the Philistines a riddle based on the lion and the honey. When they could not solve it, they threatened his wife. She persuaded Samson to reveal the answer to her. She passed it on. The Philistines solved the riddle. Then the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson. He went down to Ashkelon, struck down 30 men, took their garments, and gave them to the 30 who solved the riddle. Then, burning with anger, he returned home. After that, Samson's wife was given to another man. Samson returned and found she was gone. From that point on, the conflict between Samson and the Philistines began to escalate. By the time Delilah enters the story, the pattern has already begun. Earlier, Samson had taken honey from the carcass of a dead lion. The honey was never the issue. The carcass was. As a Nazirite, Samson had been set apart from birth. Touching the dead violated his vow. Then came the wedding feast at Timnah. Whether Samson himself drank isn't stated, but once again, he's placed in a setting that violates the calling he received from the womb. Later, Samson went to Gaza and spent the night with a prostitute. When the people of Gaza surrounded the city, Samson rose at midnight, pulled up the city gates with his 2 posts and bar, put them on his shoulders, and carried them to the top of the hill overlooking Hebron. The Bible says the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. And then he meets Delilah. The Philistine rulers offered her silver to discover the source of his strength. Delilah asked Samson. He told her, "If you tie me with 7 fresh bowstrings, I will become as weak as any other man." She tied him, and she called out, "The Philistines are upon you." He snapped the bowstrings like thread. She asked again. He gave her another false answer. Again the Philistines came. Again he broke free. The third time she pressed him. He gave her a third false answer. Yet Samson never walked away from her. Day after day she pressed him until he was sick to death of it. At last, Samson told her everything. "No razor has ever been used on my head. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me." This time, Delilah knew he had told her the truth. She sent a word to the Philistine rulers, and while Samson slept, his hair was shaved off. Then Delilah said, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He woke. Without hesitation, he said, "I'll go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. The Philistines seized him. They gouged out his eyes. They bound him with bronze shackles and took him to Gaza. There, he ground grain in the prison. The hair on his head began to grow again. After it had been shaved, time passed. The Philistine rulers gathered to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon, their god. They brought Samson out to mock him. Blind, bound, standing between 2 central pillars of the temple. And there he prayed, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more. Let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines from my 2 eyes." God heard. The temple collapsed. The Bible says he killed more people in his death than he did during his life. So why is Samson in Hebrews 11? Before Samson was born, the angel said he will begin to deliver Israel from the hand of the Philistines. That promise never changed. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him again and again. Not because Samson deserved it, but because God kept his word. And then there is the second part. Samson's life is filled with failure. The Bible does not hide it. But in his final moments, blind, broken, powerless, Samson did what he had spent his entire life avoiding. He cried out to God. God answered. It does not erase his failures. It does not justify his compromises. And the consequences remained to the end of his life. God fulfilled his purpose. Samson bore the cost of his choices. Samson's story is not a tidy one. In the end, however, he reached out to God in faith. He was chosen by God, he was used by God, and he lived with the consequences of his own choices. The Bible doesn't ask us to ignore either truth. If you enjoy exploring questions most people read past, subscribe to the Unravelling. We'll see you in the next investigation.